Hello and good morning. Joe Justice here, coming to you live on December 16th, 2022. Hold on, let me get my radio announcer voice going. Hold on. Joe Justice here, coming to you live on December 16th, 2022. We are less than about a week. No, wait. Yeah, almost a week away from Christmas. So, what are we? About 10 days from Christmas? Less than 10 days from Christmas. Hope you're having a great holiday season. Hope you're having lots of fun. Hope you got all your decorations up and you're having your office parties and you're having your family parties. We've got parties everywhere. We've got school parties, we've got family parties, we've got work parties. Everything is wild. Everything is going on. It is the middle of the holiday season. It's a great time of year, and I am loving it. I really do love this time of year, and my boys are so excited this time of year. Of course, it's just fun to see back when you were a kid, remembering what it was like for Christmas. You lose all of that after a little while, after you grow up, and then you become a teenager, and then you get into your 20s, and you lose track of all that, and then when you have kids again, it all gets exciting all over again, and that's definitely fun. So today I was wanting to come to you and talk to you about how to crush late night cravings. Who has late night cravings? I know that was always a problem that I had in the past. The whole problem with wanting to eat something late at night, wanting just before bedtime, getting hungry, wanting to get something before you go to bed. That was a really common problem. I'm going to tell you a little secret about late night cravings that you're probably going to have a bit of a challenge wrapping your head around. But that is simply this. Your late night cravings are not hunger. Late night cravings, actually any craving at all, is a habit. Cravings come from your body not being hungry for a certain food, but you being used to eating a certain kind of food. Interestingly enough, that's also where your hunger comes from around lunchtime, around dinner time, around breakfast time. All of those things that you think of as hunger aren't really hunger at all. They're cravings, and those cravings are habits. Have you ever wondered why is it that you always happen to have cravings at noon? Do you think that there's some kind of a clock in your body that it digests everything, and no matter what you eat for breakfast, it's all done by noon? It just so happens that you get hungry right around then? No, of course, that's not what's happening. What's happening is you've developed a habit over years and years and years and years of eating at noon, so your body becomes used to eating at noon. Let's talk about what habits are just a little bit. So what is a habit? A habit is something that you build up over time that's really about your body maintaining stasis. So your body doesn't think in your body doesn't think in long term. Your body thinks in very short term. Something that you do repeatedly that helps you to survive or keeps you from being killed, your body will continue to do. And that's basically what a habit boils down to. At the end of the day, that's all a habit is. A habit is something that you do regularly, and it's very close to a hypnotic state. That's why have you ever, left your house and couldn't remember if you turned off the stove or something like that? And the reason you can't remember that is because you turn it off by habit. It's a habit that you always turn it off. You're done cooking, so you turn it off. So your habits are kind of like a second self. It's your everyday operating system. So another way that you can think of it is all of the mundane tasks that simplify reality are habits. So, and if you're familiar with playing a musical instrument, for example, there's kind of two stages for learning how to play a musical instrument. One is when you're very focused, and when you're first. Well, actually, I guess there's three stages. The first stage is when you're very focused on intentionally, like moving your fingers in the right location and hitting the right thing. Then there's a point where you're focused more. You can get your fingers to move in the right place. You can get them to do things, but you're thinking very hard about it. So you're consciously aware of what you're doing, and you're consciously paying close attention to what you're doing. And then the final stage is when your hands just do the work, and then you're thinking about other things like tonality and connecting things together and connecting with your audience. You're thinking about these kind of higher level things. So the habit is that muscle memory part. The habit is the thing that you've practiced over and over and over again that it will just go on autopilot. And that's exactly what a craving is. That's exactly what a craving is. That's what a late night craving is. It's something that you've practiced over and over and over again. Most habits have triggers, something externally that causes you to want to do them. So, for an example, if you walk into your front door and the first thing you do is sit on your couch and grab your phone, then that's your trigger to grab your phone, is walking on the front door and sitting in your couch. And so a lot of times late night, maybe. So let me give you an example of a late night craving that you might be familiar with. It's late, the kids are in bed, you're ready to go to sleep. So, it's late, your kids are in bed, you're ready to relax, you sit down, you turn on the TV, and then all of a sudden you get hit with a late night craving. And you're like, man, I would sure like, some potato chips. I would sure like a snack. Well, that's a habit, and the trigger is sitting down to watch TV. Now, the trigger might be sitting on your couch. The trigger might be the TV coming on, and you kind of have to play with those kinds of things to see what it is, to see if you can disrupt those patterns. And the way that you crush those types of cravings is by disrupting the patterns. You've got to find ways to disrupt those patterns. In the long term, if you can replace a habit that you don't like, let's call that a bad habit. Habits aren't really either good or bad. Habits just kind of are. Now, from a higher level, a higher cognitive functioning point of view, where you can see the future and you can understand the future, which habits can't. Habits can only see short term. You might be able to determine a certain habit is good or a certain habit is bad because in the long run, this habit gets me closer to my goals and this one doesn't. So this one is bad and this one is good. And that's kind of the way that you framed them. So what you want to do is replace those bad habits. And remember, that's all a craving is. A craving is just a bad habit. So you want to replace those habits with another habit or avoid the trigger. If you avoid the trigger long enough, then you can eliminate the habit. Now, one thing that typically does not work, or doesn't work for a lot of people, some people have success with this, some people don't, is the cold turkey method, which is the idea that you just white knuckle it and say, I'm not going to do this anymore. That does not typically work for a lot of people. They can do it for a short period of time. So what happens is they decide, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to white knuckle this. I'm going to bring this to an end and I'm not going to do it. So what they do is they, let's take that sitting on the couch, late night craving thing. They sit on the couch and they just sit there and in their minds, the way it feels, they're starving to death. Now, that's not really what it is. That's just that craving, wanting something to eat. So they're in their mind, they're starving to death, and they're white knuckling it, and they're fighting it as much as they can. Eventually, they'll give up on it. Or what'll typically happen is they'll stick to it for a week or two, and then something will happen, and they'll say, "Oh man, well today I'm just going to make an exception. Today I'm going to go ahead and give in to it." And as soon as they do that, well, then the habit's reinforced and the habit's right back, and it becomes 10 times harder for them to completely eliminate the habit, right? So that's something that isn't typically very effective and isn't very useful, is trying to white knuckle habits. A better way of eliminating habits is to try to replace them. One of the things that you can do that's actually really effective is to replace, so let's say a habit like the late night craving, replace that with something like, instead of eating potato chips, something that you might not like as much, that you might not enjoy as much, but does the same thing, like eating celery, eating like kale chips, eating carrots, in moderation, because carrots actually have lots of sugar in them. So eating things like that to replace that late night craving. But I find that if you avoid the triggers, that so instead of sitting down on your couch to watch TV at night, maybe do something else for a little while. Maybe sit down to read a book. Maybe work on writing something. Maybe do something else for a week or two to disrupt that habit of building that, or switch it up a little bit. Maybe one day sit down on the couch to watch TV, the next day go to your bed and read for a little while. Do things that disrupt the habits, things that will break the habits and replace the habits, and try different ways of doing that. And always remember it consciously in the back of your head that craving that you're having is really just a habit. And the more you can fight against that habit, the better off you'll be. So take small steps towards eliminating those habits and replacing them with other habits, avoiding the triggers, and you'll be able to crush late night cravings. All right, guys, I will see you on Monday. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I hope that you have a great time with your family, and I hope you have lots of Christmas joy over the weekend. You take care, and I will see you. Oh, be sure to like, subscribe, share, do all that stuff, do the social stuff. I'll see you guys on Monday.